Is this the end of a togetherness that has been building for more than a decade? The shocking news came from the world of K-pop that made the army around the world silent, even crying. Jungkook, the golden magne of BTS, suddenly hinted at a big decision that made his fans' hearts beat faster. To his surprise, Taehyung, his best friend and groupmate, was left speechless. When he heard the news, it all started from an unexpected moment. In a closed-door interview, Jungkook stares far into the camera, as if trying to convey a message that cannot be expressed in ordinary words. "I thought, maybe it's time for me to take a different path," he said softly, but still enough to make the silence envelop the room. The sentence, although short, seemed to be thunder in broad daylight for the fans. Taehyung, who was sitting next to him, looked surprised. No words came out of his lips, just a blank look full of questions. A few seconds of silence seemed like forever. The relationship between the two, who had been known to be so close, full of jokes and support, suddenly felt like being at the end of a story. Many are wondering, what is really going on behind the scenes? Is this really the end of their togetherness on the world stage? Or just a pause before the new round starts? Speculation is rife, from the relentless schedule pressure to the possibility Jungkook wants to pursue his solo dreams. To be sure, Jungkook's words that day left a deep emotional wound, not only for ARMY, but also for Taehyung. The fans are now waiting anxiously, hoping that behind all this, there is still a light that will bring them back together on one stage. But until then, one thing is clear. The world of K-pop will never be the same if Jungkook's words really come true. Some ARMY wrote messages full of emotion, trying to strengthen their idols. Some claim to have cried all night. Others still hope that this is just one of the promotional strategies wrapped in mystery. However, there are also those who cannot mask the fear that this is a real sign of separation. Amid the frenzy of speculation, a source close to BTS said that Jungkook's decision was not taken suddenly. There are many factors that affect him, from mental burden to the desire to experiment musically to the search for identity beyond his identity as a member of BTS. Even so, the source was reluctant to confirm whether this meant Jungkook would actually leave the group or just take a break. Meanwhile, Taehyung still chooses silence. However, both of them still maintain a silent attitude, making curiosity even more aroused. Behind the scenes, rumors say that the other members are also feeling the same turmoil. RM reportedly asked Jungkook to speak privately, trying to understand the reason behind the words that made the whole world excited. Jimin has even been seen posting quotes about friendship and separation several times on his social media, which has further left fans wondering. Not a few ARMY began to remember the old moments between Jungkook and Taehyung, laughter, hugs, even jokes that became their hallmark. The clip went viral again, but this time it felt different. There was a feeling of nostalgia mixed with sadness, as if everyone was afraid that the moment would not happen again. Nevertheless, some music industry analysts believe that this move could be part of a grand plan. They judged that BTS always had a way of surprising the world, and it is possible that Jungkook's statement is part of a strategy that has not yet been revealed. However, until there is official confirmation, all of that will just be a puzzle hanging in the air. One thing is for sure, Taehyung's blank stare at Jungkook's words will remain imprinted in ARMY's memory. A moment that not only marks the uncertainty of BTS' future, but also illustrates how deep the bond between them is, until a decision is capable of shaking the hearts of millions of people around the world. The next night, the atmosphere heated up even more when Jungkook performed at a solo music event without any of the BTS members present in person. Despite his stunning appearance, the look in his eyes implied something difficult to explain, like an unspoken burden. The camera several times caught him looking down for a moment between songs, as if holding something in his heart. Meanwhile, Taehyung is seen in a different place. He attended an art exhibition in Seoul, dressed in all black with a hat covering part of his face. There were no words he said to the media, only a faint smile that quickly disappeared. However, the fans present swore to see his gaze blank, much different from the cheerful aura he was used to emitting. The media began to juxtapose the latest photos of the two, creating a narrative that made fans' hearts even more squeezed. Is this the beginning of their separate paths? Wrote one of the news portals with big headlines. On the other hand, Rumors circulated that HYB was preparing an official statement to answer the public's unease. But until now, the statement has not yet come out, as if adding to the mystery that has grown. Armies around the world created special hashtags, pleading for Jungkook and Taehyung to speak openly, and in the midst of it all, there is a glimmer of hope. In one of the old fan meeting recordings that went viral, Jungkook once said, "No matter how far I go, I will always return to the house called BTS." That sentence is now in the hands of fans who refuse to believe that this is the end. A few days later, HYB Entertainment finally broke the silence. In an official statement, the agency acknowledged that Jungkook is indeed considering taking a new career direction, but confirmed that there has been no final decision on his status in BTS. The statement actually made the atmosphere even hotter. Instead of muffling, the public felt as if HYB was deliberately leaving a room for mystery. Shortly after that release, Taehyung did a short live broadcast on the Weverse platform. His face looked tired, but he tried to smile. "Many are wondering me too," he said slowly. "Sometimes in life, we have to let the people we care about take their own path. But that doesn't mean we lost them." That sentence immediately made thousands of viewers shed tears. The two stood side by side, and although they didn't hug each other, their gazes spoke volumes. Jungkook smiled slightly, while Taehyung looked at him with teary eyes. The camera captures a brief moment as Jungkook whispers something in Taehyung's ear, making Taehyung's expression turn soft. Later that night, Jungkook uploaded a stage photo with Taehyung, along with a short caption, "Some things never change." In the midst of all that, a music industry insider mentioned that there will be a big moment involving all BTS members in the next few weeks. It is not clear whether this is a reunion concert, an official announcement, or just a final farewell. To be clear, neither Jungkook nor Taehyung have provided any immediate clarification, leaving the world wondering, while pinning hopes on the remnants of a hint that they are still on the same path.